Hey, Shank Herwin here from Personal Survival Solutions. We're going to bring you the next in the series of videos that we're going to do. In this series, we're going to cover basic rifle marksmanship. Hey, we're going to do that here, and we're going to do it using this Unit Solutions airsoft gun that we have. I want to give a shout out to LSDS, who's worked in conjunction with Unit Solutions to bring you the Unit 4. Now, I'm not going to go into a full overview of the Unit 4 because Chris Costa did that for Unit Solutions, so go check out his YouTube video when he talks about the Unit 4. But we are going to use it here. It's a great training aid that we can use in our backyard, or when we can't get to a conventional range and we don't have the range like we do here with the Homestead, where we can go out and shoot when we want to. Okay, so basic rifle marksmanship. Okay, this builds a premise for everything that we're going to do. If we can't align the sights and get the bullet to go where we want it to, we're just wasting powder. Okay, so we're going to break this down here. I got it written out on the chart, and I've got some different targetry here. In the next video, we're going to zero and confirm zero using the Unit 4. So I got the zero type targets for an M4, M16. And then as we do subsequent videos, we're going to move into a more anatomically correct target with the Fieldcraft Survival. I really like using those targets. So basic rifle marksmanship. Okay, we're going to break it down and make it nice and easy. So we're going to break it down to hold the rifle, aim the rifle or align the sights, and then shoot the rifle. Now, there's some subtasks that go on with this, and we're going to break those down and discuss them as we continue on in this video series. But let's initially talk about holding the rifle. Okay, that's going to be our position or stance. Okay, the master grip, our support grip on the rifle, and then natural point of aim. Natural point aim is important because what a lot of people don't realize is that when this gun goes bang, even though we tense up, initially every muscle in our body relaxes for a nanosecond. Okay, if we're muscling the muzzle of the gun, misaligning the sights, in that nanosecond when it breaks, if we don't have a good natural point of aim, the muzzle's going to move offline and we're going to have bad shot groups, or it could be a catastrophic miss. Okay, so we'll talk about how we set natural point of aim later on. Okay, but those are all the things that go into holding the rifle. Okay, aiming the rifle, sight alignment and sight picture. Now they work in conjunction with each other. I'm initially going with the Unit 4 here with just regular iron sights. Okay, and then we'll add in a red dot or an EOTech later on down the road. Red dot sighting systems, EOTechs, things of the such, they're an enhancement to what we're doing, but they're not a replacement to good fundamentals. When we align these sights, hey, if you look in some different manuals, and I reference the Army Marksmanship Manual and its supplements, Clint Smith's Urban Rifle Book, and a variety of other things that are out there, okay, a lot of places will tell you, as we're looking through the rear peep sight and aligning it with the front sight, that the wings on the front sight, we have to center those up, and then we have to focus on the front sight, etc., etc. All this complicated stuff, which God only created our eyes to focus on one thing at a time. And the geniuses that came up with this aperture sight system, when we get our eyes in close proximity to the small aperture or ghost ring that's on the back and hard focus on our front sight, it automatically centers it for us. Okay, so our sight alignment is aligning those up. My head, eyes, the sight alignment, and where I put the front sight on the target is my sight picture. Okay, they work in conjunction, they work together with each other. And then lastly, shooting the gun, the fun part, which everybody likes to do. Okay, breathing is important. There's a couple different ways that we can do that, but you may have heard of natural respiratory pause, because we want to try and eliminate everything that we can from moving those sights or misaligning those sights as the gun goes bang. Okay, natural respiratory pause is one of the ways that we can do that. Pressing this trigger straight to the rear. Notice that I didn't say squeeze or yank or jerk or anything of the such. We have to think of pressing it straight to the rear, almost like there's something in the back, and the only place that it can go is straight back to the rear. Where I put my finger on the trigger, I tend to put it a little bit lower because of the curvature of the trigger. This is just a mil-spec style trigger. Because we have a hinge point here, that the lower I get on the trigger, the more control I'm going to have and the more leverage I'm going to have to press that trigger straight to the rear. Okay, we want to take the slack out. I get a general alignment of my sights. I want to take all the slack out, especially when I'm running these military triggers, if I have any. So that way I've taken out a large majority of that trigger movement. I verify that my front sight is where I want the bullet to go, and then I smoothly press through the rest of the trigger press to the rear until the gun goes bang. Now in this instance, we go into follow through, which is important. And what I like to do when I'm either zeroing or shooting groups in a controlled environment is once I press this trigger straight to the rear, I'm gonna pin it as it goes through its cycle of function and cycle of felt recoil and let the sight settle back down on the target before I reset the trigger. Now I'm doing this because I'm in a controlled environment and I want to take out all the variables that I can so I don't misalign those sights as it's going through the 8 cycles of functions that these guns go through, or a regular live fire gun would go through. Okay, then I'm going to keep it in contact to my trigger, let it all the way out to its length of travel, then take the slack back out, and then I'm ready to shoot again. That's my follow through. Okay, follow through, all that is doing the fundamentals of marksmanship through the firing of the gun. So it gives the bullet enough time to get out the end of the barrel and get on its flight path. Lastly, the other thing I want to point out here is if you look off to the left here, I've got an acronym, and that comes right out of the Army Marksmanship Manual, and that's BRASS. Okay, it goes along with our fundamentals of marksmanship. Okay, our breathing, relaxation, which is important. With that relaxation, natural point of aim. Okay, aiming the rifle, which is what we've talked about, taking the slack out of the trigger, and then the one thing that I did change on there is in their acronym, it's squeeze. I changed it to smoothly press the trigger to the rear, because when I think about squeezing something, I get a sympathetic reaction of my whole hand. And the point of pressing the trigger straight to the rear is that I want this trigger finger to move independently. Okay? So that's why I've changed that, but that's a handy mnemonic or acronym for us to have when we're thinking about basic rifle marksmanship. Okay? So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Like I said, we're going to start breaking this down in the next video where we're going to do zeroing and we're going to talk about the prone position. Okay, and we're going to do that with iron sights. So until then, always vigilant, always prepared, and we'll see y'all on the range.